Lesson 17. Sightseeing. Basic patterns. Have you ever seen the Grand Canyon? The view is wonderful from up here. Let's go watch the sunset. It's hard to get a picture in this light. The crowds spoiled the scenery. The paved road up to the mountain ruined the sense of nature. I want to see the desert in western China. He said that the coast was beautiful at sunrise. The train goes through some beautiful country. Winter is the best time to visit because the snow is so beautiful. Where should we go for our vacation this year? I agree that Disney World is a great place for children and they would have a lot of fun, but it's important for the kids to see such an important American landmark. It's very popular, and they only give a limited number of tours a day. Part of sightseeing is tasting new foods from different places. Dialogue 1.
Where should we go for our vacation this year?
I'm not sure. Do you have some place in mind?
Why don't we take the kids to Disney World?
I agree that Disney World is a great place for children and they would have a lot of fun, but...
But what?
It sounds very nice, but isn't it a little expensive?
I guess so. We live in Arizona and Disney World is all the way over in Florida.
It will be very expensive to buy plane tickets all the way to Florida for the 3 kids and the 2 of us.
Do you think it will be that expensive even if we tried to get the tickets on sale and buy them early?
I still think it would be too costly.
Do you have any alternatives?
How about the Grand Canyon?
Why the Grand Canyon?
Well, it's very famous, and the kids can get some fresh air while enjoying the natural scenery.
I think you're right. It's important for the kids to see such an important American landmark.
It's also so much closer to us, so we can drive our car to it.
Do you think the kids will behave for such a long car ride?
I believe so.
I just don't want a repeat of the time when we drove to California with the kids. They were horrible. They yelled, cried, and fought with each other the whole way. Do you remember when Bobby threw Karen's doll out the window of the car?
That was years ago. I think they are old enough now that they can behave properly.
I hope so.
A road trip might be fun. The kids do like traveling.
I'll just have to make sure I buy enough games and books to keep them occupied on the ride there.
Dialogue 2.
This is all so confusing.
Just relax and look at the guidebook.
I can't decide where we should go first. Where should we go?
There are many things to see in Washington, D.C. It's your first visit here, so I think you should decide.
I know there are many sights to see. There are too many. I can't seem to choose one.
I'll try to narrow down some choices for you. How about the Washington Monument?
Oh, I've always wanted to see that. Can we go all the way to the top to see the entire city?
Sure. What next?
Well, I've always admired Abraham Lincoln. Are there any places that can tell me more about him?
We can go to the Lincoln Memorial.
I'd like that. I think he was a great president. In my opinion, I think he was the best president this country has ever had.
After that, if you are interested, we could go to Ford's Theater.
Why there?
That's the place where Lincoln was assassinated.
That's a little morbid, but I still might like to see that.
Anything else you'd like to see?
Could we take a tour of the White House?
Yes, but we should get tickets in advance. It's very popular, and they only give a limited number of tours a day.
We can't just visit whenever we want?
Of course not. The security is very strict, since the Secret Service guards the president carefully.
Can we also see the Capitol, the Vietnam Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, the Library of Congress, the National Zoo?
Wait a minute. It will take a week to see all those places.
Well, we better get started.
Dialogue 3. Are you enjoying your holiday to Spain?
Very much.
What do you think of my hometown?
I think Madrid is a wonderful city. It will leave a lasting impression on me.
I'm so glad that you appreciate my hometown.
I'm really grateful that you've been able to take the time to show me around.
I'm sure that you would have been fine on your own.
I'm not so sure,
Why?
because my Spanish is very poor.
It's not that bad. You know quite a bit.
Certainly not enough to get around easily. Even if I could speak Spanish fluently, it has still been very helpful to have someone around who knows the city well and can show me the best places to see.
It's been my pleasure.
If I haven't worn out my welcome, would you like to do something tonight?
I would love to. What would you like to do?
I'd like to try the local food. Part of sightseeing is tasting new foods from different places.
Anything in particular you'd like to try?
What do you recommend, since you would know better than I?
Let's have some paella.
What's paella?
It is rice, seafood, various meats, vegetables, and spices cooked together. It's a local specialty. I think you will like it.
I'm game.
Substitutions. 1. Where should we go for our vacation this year? How should we spend our vacation? What should we do for the summer holiday? Any ideas where to go this year? 2. Why don't we take the kids to Disney World? Why don't we take the kids to an amusement park? Why don't we take the kids to Niagara Falls? Why don't we take the kids to Yosemite National Park? 3. We live in Arizona, and Disney World is all the way over in Florida. We live in California, and Disney World is all the way over in Florida. We live in Texas, and Disney World is all the way over in Florida. We live in Maryland, and Disney World is all the way over in Florida. 4. Well, it's very famous, and the kids can get some fresh air while enjoying the natural scenery. Well, it's very famous, and the kids can enjoy the great outdoors. Well, it's very famous, and the kids can get away from the pollution of the city. Well, it's very famous, and the kids can take in the beauty of nature. 5. I'll just have to make sure I buy enough games and books to keep them occupied on the ride there. I'll just have to make sure I buy enough games and books to entertain them on the ride there. I'll just have to make sure I buy enough games and books to keep them busy on the ride there. I'll just have to make sure I buy enough games and books to amuse them on the ride there. 6. It's your first visit here, so I think you should decide. You've never been here before, so I think you should decide. You're new here, so I think you should decide. You're only here for a short time, so I think you should decide. 7. I know there are many sights to see. I know there are many landmarks to see. I know there are many attractions to see. I know there are many historical places to see. 8. I'll try to narrow down some choices for you. I'll try to give some examples for you. I'll try to outline some options for you. I'll try to provide some ideas for you. 9. We can't just visit whenever we want. We can't just visit whenever the mood strikes us. We can't just visit as we wish. We can't just visit at our leisure. 10. Well, we'd better get started. Well, we'd better begin our day. Well, we'd better get going. Well, we'd better shake a leg. 11. What do you think of my hometown? What is your opinion of my city? Do you like where I live? Would you like to visit my country again? 12. It will leave a lasting impression on me. I will have many fond memories. I won't ever forget it. It is burned into my memory. 13. I'm sure that you would have been fine on your own. I'm sure that you would have been fine left to your own devices. I'm sure that you would have been fine by yourself. I'm sure that you would have been fine if you had to depend on yourself. 14. Because my Spanish is very poor. Because my Spanish is not fluent. Because my Spanish is difficult to understand. Because my Spanish is less than perfect. 15. I'm game. I'm willing to try it. I'll have a go. I'm up for it. Monologue. Sightseeing is a marvelous opportunity to learn about the history and culture of a city, state, or country. You can tell a lot about the values of a society by the people, places, and objects they honor and want to remember. A popular place to visit in America is, of course, Washington, D.C. The city is located in the District of Columbia, which, unlike Florida, Maryland, Texas, and California, is not a state. The U.S. is comprised of many states that have independent powers of the federal or national government. D.C. is considered a federal area that is special from formal states. As an old city and the capital of the U.S., it has some of the most significant landmarks of the entire country. Many of the sites typically associated with the United States, such as the White House, Capitol Building, and the Washington Monument, are located in this city. The best advice one can follow while sightseeing is to have a good guidebook, map, or person familiar with the area. A good pair of walking shoes is a must. And finally, don't forget your camera so that you can have lasting memories of the site.